Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We are back again to talk about a game that we haven't actually covered on the channel, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which is the fourth game in the Dragon Age franchise. Let me state a couple of things up front. Dragon Age is my second favorite video game series of all time, right behind Mass Effect. What does that tell you? I love Bioware games. I'm one of those weird guys that pretty much plays anything associated with BioWare as long as it's not Anthem. So, because of that, I get a little bit more emotional when it comes to BioWare related things than I do compared to anything else. If you look at the videos on my channel, you will clearly see this is not a community that feeds off of negativity, that runs around talking about how terrible and dreadful everything is. That's not how we get down around here. But there are a couple of things that I'm really passionate about. BioWare games, because I love them, and I love the Pathfinder games, so I'm very passionate about the tabletop RPG space and making sure that things are okay over there so that it protects some of the other properties that I love, which is why I was really passionate about the whole OGL license issue. So I'm going to speak about this in a few negative ways, but I just want to try to provide some context regarding that. Let me also make it clear this is not like boycott conversation. No matter how terrible Dreadwolf is, I'm going to buy it because I want to see the continuation of Solus's story. So, no matter what, I'm going to play it. And I'm honestly not worried about whether or not I'm going to enjoy the story. I feel relatively confident that the story is going to be crafted, that I'm going to enjoy, and that I'll be able to enjoy the continuation. It's the gameplay that I'm concerned about. It's the gameplay that they experience that they're crafting that I'm concerned with whether or not I'm going to enjoy. And that speaks to the heart of the information that was leaked a couple of days ago. To be clear, there are a couple of things in here that might be considered spoilers as far as a location we're going to and what type of potential enemy we're going to face. So if you absolutely want to come into the game clear and free, then this might not be the video for you. But I don't consider them to be like major, huge spoilers, especially since from the information provided, we can't really know what's going on. We can only guess and make speculation. So, with all of that, let's get into the article. And this actually comes from a publication called Insider Gaming, which I personally have never heard of, but a lot of other major publications are picking this story up. So to me, that's an indication that they consider this to be credible and feel like this is real information. So the article starts off with kind of a recap on some of the development issues that Dreadwolf has had. Development started in 2015, and there was hope that the game would come out this year. In fact, a lot of people had expected to see it at the Game Awards, but obviously that is not the case. And they reveal in this article that we could be looking at a release date potentially in 2024. And that the reason for that is because there are a lot of multiplayer qualities within this game that they are still trying to iron out. In fact, it specifically says that they consider the game to almost be Destiny esque, which I've never played Destiny before, but I know it's an MMO. And I certainly know that I don't want Dragon Age to be anything like an MMO. So they've got to take some time to kind of iron all of that out and pull that stuff out the game. That part is not bad at all. The article also mentions that Dreadwolf follows a similar gameplay loop to its predecessors, which will involve recruiting and growing your crew, whom you'll encounter by completing missions. Your recruited crew will populate your hub, where you can give them different pieces of equipment and modifications as you progress throughout the game. It's understood that you'll be able to move from your hub to missions by passing through a mirrored portal. And of course, those of you who are familiar with previous Dragon Age games know the exact type of portal that they're speaking of. That is really, really exciting. Again, I'm not worried at all about the story. And all of this stuff is pretty standard for BioWare games. No problems, no issues whatsoever with everything we've read thus far. Here's where the issue starts. As for combat, one source who played the game suggested that it was more akin to hack and slash compared to past games. And the game's combat wheel is similar to that of the one in Final Fantasy 15. As for your crew, it was said that you currently cannot control them and can only select the ability that they can cast. Now, I've seen a couple of other channels talking about this, and they make comparisons to games like Dragon's Dogma and Mass Effect. So let's unpack that and take these two separately. First of all, Dragon Age is not Mass Effect, and this comes from a person who thoroughly enjoys both properties. Dragon Age is built on something completely different. When they made the change that you could only use party member abilities for Mass Effect 2, nobody cared. Like, this was not a huge issue at all because Mass Effect was not built on the idea that you could play as all these different people. Mass Effect was built on you are Shepard. In all the games, you are Shepard. And there are other people who might temporarily come along for that adventure, but at the end of the day, Shepard is what's important. So that was all good. Dragon Age is built on something completely different. It is about the world and the characters in it. Even your character itself isn't that central. You don't take the same character from game to game. So being able to have complete control over not only yourself, but all of your party members and being able to control their armor, control their weapons, figure out the proper tactics when you use them out in combat is a huge staple of what Dragon Age is supposed to be about. And even more importantly, they already went down this route. They tried to go streamline and hack and slash and dumb everything down for the lowest common denominator in Dragon Age 2. And it absolutely cost them. That game was terrible, both critically and commercially. Like, any way you try to look at it, Dragon Age 2 was, I understand people put a lot of work into it, so I don't want to just flat out call it a failure. But it obviously was not what they were trying to get in the next entry in that series. And then in Dragon Age Inquisition, they kind of went back to the drawing board and took a lot of elements out of Origins and put it into that game. And well, guess what? They had a significantly more success. So now it seems like what they're going to do is not only go back to what they were doing in Dragon Age 2, but try to take that even further. Because at least in Dragon Age 2, you still could control your party members. This doesn't make any sense. And Dragon's Dogma? Who here, again, I love Bioware games. I play Bioware games. Who actually believes Bioware is really capable of creating a combat system that is comparable to Dragon's Dogma? That you're going to be like, oh man, I'm having trouble now even thinking about combat in a Bioware game where I was like, man, this combat system just absolutely amazing and incredible. Most of the time, the combat is serviceable at best, and it is the stories, party members, and the characters that really hold things up and carry you on through. Dragon's Dogma? Stop it. So, another publication that has been talking about Dragon Age recently is thegamer.com. They reference the article that we just read through, but then they also put in this Twitter message that contains some additional information regarding the leaks. So, this is what these images, what I was talking about at the beginning regarding there might be a little bit of spoilers in this video as far as it showing locations that we're going to. It's clear that we're at Weishaupt, which is the headquarters for the Grey Warden, and there's a dragon that we're trying to figure out how to get by. Could be an archdemon, could not be an archdemon, but I think it's really exciting that we're clearly not going to be chained down into Deventer, and we're going to be able to roam around some of the different areas in Thedas. So I'm excited about this game from a storyline perspective. Definitely going to buy it, definitely going to play it. It shows a couple of other screenshots here. You can see in the lower left that many of the icons To me, people said it looked MMOs, but honestly, this all reminds me of Dragon Age Inquisition. So I don't put any stock into the overall hub that you see. I think they're probably still working on all of that, and it doesn't bother me at all one way or another. Even when you look at the inventory screen, no, it's weird that there are so many room slots available for the weapons. That might come off a little bit MMO, but yeah, this is all alpha. This is all alpha. It doesn't really matter. I don't put stock into that. It's absolutely fine. What is absolutely atrocious and to me just reinforces all the worst parts of the article that we read is the footage. When you look at this footage of this Elven Knight running in and attacking whatever that creature is, I mean, to me, look, I don't even see any icon. Again, we don't put stock in the hub, but it's not, you don't even see icons for you to be able to switch or like where your party members are. It's really clearly just about you controlling yourself and roaming around. And I don't know how many of you played Final Fantasy 15. I did. I played it all the way through, which is why I know that the game absolutely made no sense. But I thought the combat was terrible. I absolutely hated being in a game with party members where it felt like there was very, very little control. You did have the ability to use like super moves of theirs and to try to trigger them, but it did not feel at all smooth. It did not feel like there was real symmetry and chemistry there. It just wasn't all that great. And so for that to be the game that this is compared to is awful. Heard some other people also mention God of War that that this is please please hype. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe that BioWare is capable of making a combat system that is akin to the recent God of War series. I don't. I don't believe that for a single second. So to me, this is it's just all disappointing. It's all disappointing because, in my personal opinion, they keep getting away. It's disappointing because to me, what actually works for Dragon Age, what actually works in Dragon Age, is also what I love in games. Dragon Age Origins is the best game. Dragon Age Inquisition is the most commercially successful version of the franchise. So it's like either one of those that you wanted to go harder towards, I'm with it. But essentially, they've decided that no, Dragon Age 2, they had it right. That was the right direction. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. And I'm sorry, to me, this looks like trash. This looks like absolute nonsense that has no business in a Dragon Age game. I don't talk like this all the time. I don't trash games. I don't. That's not how I make my content. That's not how I make my how I get my views. But I'm always going to be honest, man. And I'm not going to wait until the game comes out and then say, "Hey, I knew, but I just didn't say anything." Like, no, it's out now. Let's talk about it now. This is not right. This is not right. And we've seen them do this before. When the marketing for Dragon Age 2 came out and they talked about the win button, and hey, it's going to be so great and so dynamic and so awesome. You've got this win button and you can just keep pressing that and you're going to be able to win. People raised their hand and said, that actually sounds completely terrible. And the craziest thing about all this, the craziest thing about all of this is Dragon Age Origins had the best tactic system I've ever seen in a game ever. Like when we were playing Pillars of Eternity 1, and we talked about how terrible the tactics and AI are in that game. We're like, they should have just took Dragon Age Origins and straight up ripped that. Or pay Bioware and say, hey, can we just use this for his game? There's nothing else I've ever seen better as far as setting up yourself and all of your party members to be able to operate in combat. So you had the best tactic system ever seen in gaming, and basically it's like, all right, nah, we gonna go to this hack and slash route instead. For who? Who are you trying to appeal to? Lily, it's frustrating to see folks who it seems like they don't know who their actual market is. They don't know the people who buy their games. That's it. That's it. Again, I'm not with the negativity. I'm not going to go on this forever. I'm not going to make 10 videos about this, but I had to speak up once to say I prefer a version of Dragon Age that focuses on giving the player control, on depth, on complexity, on making games for adults who don't mind having to put some intelligence and effort into their game and not just, hey, walk, 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 press a couple of buttons, memorize the way a guy slashes and move about with my day. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, share this content, subscribe to the channel, and become a member if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.